Bye-bye.
Punk bands refuse to play clubs that don't allow minors. Punk fans like the fact that their favorite music rubs the establishment the wrong way. Some hardcore punk gives kids the option of joining a peer group that doesn't use drugs.
I've seen beatniks, hippies, and flower children. I've heard Guthrie, the Beatles, and the Stones. It seems the musical fashions change with each new batch of students that come into my classroom, but musical styles are still a very important form of communication for our young people. Hi, I'm Joe Feinstein, and today on Teen Talk, we've invited a group of punk rockers and new wavers and all kinds of rock and rollers to talk with us about their extreme forms of communication. Welcome, panel. Welcome to Teen Talk. I'm wondering what kind of music are you into,
on
and
Punk.
why do you like that
A
kind of
discussion with
music
host
anyway?
Joe Feinstein and several teenagers on the subject of punk music.
I like X a lot, and that's like well known. And I like the Urban Gorillas, which are getting up there, and Moocher and the Moochettes.
Urban Gorillas, Moocher and the Moochettes. Okay, Rhonda, what's your style of music that you like?
Okay, my style of music is basically right now country and western. I have heard other kinds of music, and to me right now that seems to be my place.
Why don't you like punk rock?
I don't like punk rock for a few different reasons, mainly because of the violence that is thought of when you listen to punk rock, or the words of the songs, and the different kinds of dancing that punk rock has is more of an aggressive type, and the whole idea is just very aggressive.
Very aggressive. Okay, you're entitled to your feelings. Keith, what kind of music you into?
Yeah, I like punk rock, man. You know? Cool.
Cool. Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Why do you like this music so much, Keith?
Well, and I don't really like the hardcore, you know, like... No, like the slamming, you know, the violence and all that. Yeah, it's not for me.
What is the violence all about for the punks?
Kind of an outlet, you know, I guess you could say. And basically an ego trip, you know. Who's tougher than who? Ooh, all rad, you know. Hey. That's, you know.
All right. Sky, what kind of music you into?
I like a little bit mellower punk than most of the hardcore usual stuff.
Give me the names of a couple of groups that you dig on.
Susie and the Banshees.
Yeah?
Very popular with anybody nowadays, I think. X, TSOL, a lot of local LA bands.
Now this X, they have the lead singer in X is a guy named John Doe. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now what is I get the feeling as I was looking around and doing my research for this program was really an interesting job for me. And X with John Doe, those are two anonymous names. Why is everybody so anonymous? It's like they don't want to admit that their name is, you know, Meyer Goldstein and his 7 cockamamies. Why do they choose these names?
John Doe is basically just a stage name. You know, his real first name is John, but that's just a stage name. A lot of people in bands use stage names. And I guess it's just to kid around.
To kid around?
Yeah.
Shannon, what music are you into?
Well, I prefer punk music, but I like to go out and dance and have a good time. I like the Cramps. I like TSOL.
Cramps, did you say?
Cramps.
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 You know, like once a month.
Like once a month. Those kind of, that's what they're really called?
Yeah.
And what kind of music do they play? Hardcore punk? Or?
No. It's mellow, but it's dancing music.
And you can dance to that?
I can.
I see. Okay. I'm wondering, in my research, I found out that the English have affected punk and that they're very violent. There's a lot of violence that Rhonda was talking about. Is this what you found too, Mandy?
No, well, you know, it depends where you go and who you go see. I mean, if you don't want to be involved in the violence, you just stand back. And the people that, you know, do want to be in the violence, they're up close and they're in it. I mean, it's fun. You can get into it, I guess.
Do you get into it?
I have, but I've gotten hurt, too. I mean, I was, like, up close to the stage and I got jumped on.
You got jumped on?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really hurt, but it's like a surprise, so. I mean, it's not bad.
Surprise! Pow! You know, right in your head.
You know, it's just, it's not something...
There's violence everywhere.
You know, yeah, there's violence really everywhere.
All right, well, wait a second. Go ahead, Kenny. Tell us.
Where you go, no matter what, you know, violence is everywhere. You go, any kid that goes out to go out to have a good time, any party, anywhere, there's always going to be violence. There's always people getting pissed off and letting out their aggressions on each other.
Okay, so you feel that violence is all around. You too, Shannon?
I do.
In what way?
Just people don't even know you and they'll start trouble with you. It's everywhere. You go out anywhere. It's different classes of people.
Have you found this so, Randy?
Violence is everywhere. It's on TV. It's in the streets. It's everywhere. It's not just the punk music. It's not just the punks that are promoting violence.
How have you seen or experienced this?
You go in the schoolyard, you see kids beating up on other kids. They're not listening to punk music at the time. You see the news, you see movies. You know, people just start beating up on others or taking out their aggressions violently.
Or a carload of Mexicans come up with a crowbar, you know.
Yeah. They're not listening to punk music at the time.
I'm gonna kill you.
At the time, they don't even have to be listening to it at all, ever, in their lives. I mean, yeah, you go to a party, you go to a concert.
They'll pick on
And it
you
doesn't
for
have
the
to
way
be,
you
you
look.
know, it can be
Yeah,
any kind of
football is
concert.
violence, don't you think?
Yeah, sports, like hockey.
Contact sports.
So what you're saying is that the violence is all around us and that punk rock music doesn't really create any more problems than anywhere else. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, because
No, it doesn't. But if they go out and dance and that's what they like to do, you know, and they like to get hurt that way, well, then let them do it.
Most punk music is played overwhelmingly loud. It can literally leave you senseless, and it almost has a kind of drug-like effect. Yet, from what I hear, hardcore punk rockers refuse to use any drugs, and I'm wondering, panel, is that true? Is it true?
I want to clear something up about the drugs. The punk crowd uses no more drugs than any other teenage group of kids.
But as I understand it, there are no drugs
In
used.
most cases, yeah.
Is that true?
It's not true. There's no drugs. In a place in Washington, D.C., for example, they're totally against drugs. In L.A., there's always the crowd of junkies or whatever that will, be involved with it.
Okay, so you're saying they do use drugs?
Yeah, I, for one, stay away from it.
You stay away from the drugs. Okay, Maddie, what about your feeling on this?
Well, I know I don't use drugs, and a lot of my friends are against smoking and drinking and taking drugs, but then you go out and there's, you go to a gig or something and there's beer cans and they serve beer to minors and stuff. I mean, but you go anywhere and that's like that.
You're kind of, saying that there is no real difference between punk rockers or any other kind of music or anything else or whatever in our society.
The way they dress and the music, yeah, but I'm saying the kids themselves aren't.
Well, let's talk about the way they dress for just a moment. Why are you, what's the difference in the need for the way of dressing? What's that all about? Keith, what's it all about?
I like to dress different, I don't know. Individuality,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to walk around with designer jeans and an alligator on my shirt, like 3 other million people or, like that. It's not for me.
You're comfortable.
So you are dressing
cheaper.
in a different kind of way, but like everybody else in that different kind of way.
Yeah.
And that need for you to do that is because?
I don't know need.
No need.
No need. Just, I like to do it.
Okay. All right. And what about you, Shannon?
Well, the way I dress is the way I dress.
If this were 8 or 10 years ago, you would have been dressed entirely differently depending upon the Beatles' effect on our society. And then maybe you would have adopted the Beatles look or the whatever look or the Mohawk look when I can remember 20 years ago, the kids were wearing the Mohawk hairstyle to school. And the teachers were going crazy with the Mohawk hairstyle.
Yeah.
Is there a need for kids to be like everybody else?
I don't like to be like everybody else.
So why don't you be a punker and wear your hair long?
Wear my hair long? I don't like to wear my hair long.
Really
I like
not?
it the way it is, even shorter.
Even shorter.
It's too long as it is.
Okay, all right. Randy, how do you feel about this situation? You see it around you.
Yeah. Most people don't dress, I feel, for music or for anyone else. They dress for themselves, to please themselves. And Shannon can wear that dress, and everyone will say, oh, you're a punker. And I can put it on, and they'll say, oh, you look different. It matters who wears it.